She had no sign above her door, no market stall, no announced price. And yet people found her the way people always find the things they desperately need, by hearing about her from someone who had once been desperate themselves. Her name was not important. In the valley, she was known simply as the woman on the gray hill. She lived alone in a small stone house with a wide wooden table inside and 2 chairs and a fire that always seemed to be burning at exactly the right temperature. She grew a few things in a small garden. She asked nothing of her neighbors, and her neighbors had long since learned to ask very little of her. What she sold, though sold is not quite the right word, was an hour. You came to her house. You sat across the table from her. She said nothing. She did not ask why you had come or what was troubling you or what you hoped to find. She poured 2 cups of something warm and set one in front of you and sat down with her own. And then she was simply there, fully, completely, unhurriedly there, watching the fire, present. An hour passed. Then she stood up, which meant the hour was over and you left. Payment was unusual. She accepted whatever people brought. A jar of preserved plums, a bundle of firewood, a small piece of cloth. Once a man brought nothing but a pebble he had picked up on the path. She accepted it with the same nod she gave everything else, and placed it on the windowsill with several others. People who had been to see her described the experience in similar but slightly confused terms. Nothing happened, they said. She didn't say anything. She didn't do anything. There was just the fire and the cup and the silence. And yet they came back. One winter, a young man arrived at her door. He was well-dressed and obviously intelligent, and he had the particular exhaustion of someone who has been thinking very hard for a very long time without resolution. He sat across from her, and in the first 10 minutes he told her everything. His failing plans, his broken relationships, the decision he could not make, the life he was not sure he was living correctly. She listened without expression, not coldly, just steadily, the way a deep lake receives rain. Then she was quiet. He waited for her to speak, to advise him, guide him, offer the insight that would untangle everything. She sipped her cup, watched the fire. 15 minutes passed, then 20. He shifted in his chair. He began to feel, one by one, the questions he had brought in starting to lose their hard edges. Not because they were answered, but because without his own voice filling the air, there was suddenly space around them. And in that space, he began to hear something beneath all of it. Something quiet and steady that had apparently been there the whole time, waiting for him to stop talking long enough to notice. When the hour ended and he walked back down the gray hill, he had none of the answers he had come looking for. But he knew which question was real. He had been asking himself dozens. Now there was only one, and it sat simply and clearly in his chest, and he understood that he had always known the answer. He had simply been too loud to hear it. He sent his daughter to her years later when she was going through her own season of confusion. The daughter came home different, not fixed, not resolved, just quieter in a good way. "She didn't say anything," the daughter said, slightly bewildered. The man smiled. "No," he said, "she never does. The answer has always been there. Most of us are simply too busy to hear it."